Hey, welcome back to World Entertainment. And the coke train and meltdowns over Starfleet Academy getting cancelled continue. And now it's the cast starting to come out. But the media are now using something interesting to try and say, see, you shouldn't have cancelled it. Even this legend loves it. Yeah, out of nowhere they're trying to frame that William Shatner, that he's reacted to Starfleet Academy being cancelled by tweeting. And what you need to understand first off is if you think William Shatner is actually the one running his Twitter account and actually writing these tweets, you're a moron. No, he doesn't. He has a team that does that for him. You clowns. Bill Shatner at 95 is not sitting there on Twitter writing crap. But the funny thing is, clearly whoever's working for Shatner has put out these messages. Or maybe it's Kurtzman and people within there have gone, hey, Shatner's group, any chance you could write this? Because the first thing you would ask yourself is, this isn't the first Star Trek series, especially in the modern take of Star Trek, that's been cancelled. Why would Shatner care about this one? It makes absolutely zero sense to me. But before we look at what he says, let's take a look at what Gaiden himself says. That's right, good old Gaiden. If you've never, by the way, heard this guy actually speak, brace yourselves. From what you heard of the Klingon in the show, wait till you hear how he actually sounds, because this is Gaiden and how sad he is about the show ending and how grateful he is that he got the chance to do it and stuff like this. But he also makes it sound like he was the only one making the thing. You'll see what I mean. Take it away, Gaiden.
Season 2 will be our last season. That is really hard for me to say because I love this show so much. I got the chance to create 20 episodes within, one of the most iconic sci-fi franchises of all time, alongside some of the most experienced and talented artists in this entire industry. And there is 10 episodes left. Season 2 was basically just season 1 turned all the way up. I also have so much behind the scenes content that I'm gonna continue sharing. Thank you guys so much for supporting me, supporting Jaden, and supporting this show.
Yeah, now you see why they had to modulate his voice. Whoo boy. And you see what I mean by, I got to make these shows, I got to make these episodes, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, don't you mean we got to make this show, we got to make these episodes because it was a collective group of you, not just one of you? Which is also funny because when you weren't gay, they didn't need you and didn't use you. That's literally all he was there for, was to be gay. It was like, without gayness story being pushed, all of a sudden it was like, oh, he's got a cold, get rid of him. Oh, he's not needed here on this scene, get rid of him. Other than that, he didn't exist. But let's dive into this now. So, though the news probably didn't come as a major surprise to many, we got word earlier this week that Paramount Plus's divisive Star Trek Starfleet Academy series will be closing its doors after the already filmed second season. The one thing I've said throughout every article that has come out is what? That's right. They always mention the Rotten Tomatoes score, and guess what the next paragraph is? Despite strong reviews, 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, they gotta get it in there, Starfleet Academy simply didn't connect with the Trek fandom the way Paramount hoped it would. And this was reflected in the viewership figures. The show failed to rank on Nielsen's top 10 streaming viewership charts at any point during its 10-episode first season. So this is one of the first articles I've seen where they're literally saying it didn't connect with the fan base. So critics praised Starfleet Academy for its focus on a younger cast, diverse characters, and coming-of-age themes. Before I even go on, I am sick to death of hearing this bullshit narrative being shoved down your throat of diverse. Oh, it's diversity, it's so diverse, blah, blah, blah. You're not breaking any glass ceilings here, you dipshits. Because it's 2026. Every show, movie, everything has been diverse since the goddamn 60s at this stage. It truly has. You're forgetting that every single series of Star Trek, every single one of them has had a black character in it and a main character. Every last one of them. So why you're trying to paint this as we're the first that's diverse and stuff? No. So shut the fuck up when it comes to that crap. But it continues saying, but this also made the show a target for those who considered it too woke. Beyond this, many felt that the series was lacking in other areas. So they're saying because it was diverse, that's the only reason people disliked the show, which is just retarded. So now, Star Trek legend William Shatner, who recently celebrated his 95th birthday, has shared his take on the show's cancellation via a series of X posts. So this is what they're trying to claim William Shatner has come out to say, which is defending all things Kurtzman Trek when it comes to none other than Starfleet Academy. So the first one he wrote was, well, that came out on his account was, Star Trek exists in more than one world. It exists in the fantasy of science fiction. Weird and wonderful things that play unimaginable possibilities of exploration and human endeavour. But it also exists in the fantasy of human beings, the perfection of human beings, the exploration that human beings have made since the dawn of time, and the continuing exploration, physically, mentally, and morally. It's that aspect of Star Trek that I've always loved. To look at something physically that doesn't exist now by these talented writers and designers, but also to tackle the essential human questions and agonies and necessities. Star Trek should exist for a long time to come based on those truths. I, for one, would love to see it continue. It's with sorrow that I hear about the cancellation of the new Star Trek series. That's the first one put out. So you notice he just talks everything about Star Trek, what it is, what it means, all of this stuff. Never goes into the Kurtzman Trek or anything like that. And then just ends that one by saying, it's with sorrow I hear of the cancellation of this show. Even though it was greenlit for 2 seasons before the first season was even done. Why is this the only show that he seems to have come out to make a statement over? Seriously, why? Why has he never said this about any of the other shows? Any of them. Original shows or modern Trek shows. He's never made a statement. But then he put out another one saying, during the first airing of my Star Trek series, where a kiss was objectionable, many southern stations pulled the episode and condemned the show. Using today's vernacular, it would absolutely be called woke DEI crap, because it went against norms of society for its time. Not a lot seems to have changed. Okay. Does that actually sound like Shatner to you? Do you think Shatner has ever even really heard the term DEI? I guarantee you, probably not. And his last one was, and by the way, this is the best one, especially since he knows all these guys and speaks with these guys, has done multiple interviews with these guys, and yet, from when you read this, it sounds like he's never met the people in his life or spoken to them, because he says, and when the next gen came out, there was a ton of hate because it wasn't Star Trek, and the cast probably was in fear from the fans. Again, when the series with Bakula came out, it too was panned by the fans because it wasn't Star Trek. Star Trek is different for everyone. Does that sound like Shatner to you? The idea that they were probably in fear of the fans. Why? The fans couldn't get to you. There was no instant connection with your audience and stuff because there was no social media or any of that stuff. So where exactly would the fear come from? And this idea, it wasn't Star Trek. TNG was never looked at as it wasn't Star Trek. What was looked at was the idea of, can it work without the original cast? That was the question. As for when Enterprise came about, that people went, this isn't Star Trek. That's bullshit as well. That never happened. That never happened. Nobody looked at Enterprise and went, this is a joke. This isn't Star Trek. What is this? Especially knowing what it was and when it was set. It was the case of, is this a good idea to go back in time and do a show based on the first ship that could go to Warp 5? There was never this backlash of this isn't Star Trek. That is where you know Shatner isn't the one writing any of this. He has not written any of this. He probably made a couple of statements and they've added in some of this crap. Again, because I asked you the question, Strange New Worlds got cancelled. They cancelled it. It didn't come to its natural end. They cancelled it because they wanted more than 5 seasons. They've even said that. They wanted a full season for season 5 and they were told no. They even wanted it to end in a movie and they were told no. Why didn't Shatner comment about that? When Picard only got 3 seasons, why didn't he comment about that? Let's keep one thing clear. Alex Kurtzman doesn't like William Shatner. That's a known fact, that he does not like Shatner, which is also why they wrote and then removed the idea of having Shatner in the bloody other movies. It's not happening. They don't like Shatner. So to think that Shatner is going to write this to say how much he finds it heartbreaking that this pile of shit show, which by the way, it turns out he's even tried to say, or where they've said that, oh yeah, by the way, Shatner's never actually watched the show. He's never watched any of the Kurtzman shows. So why would he defend it? Why would he be sitting here saying it's sad that it got cancelled? The fact that he says it's with sorrow that I hear about the cancellation of the series. Maybe he's heard like, hey, the cast has just lost their jobs, and they're like, oh no. Maybe he's saying that, you know, that's sad that they've lost their jobs, but whatever. Why all of a sudden these follow-up messages come out where it's all DEI crap, and well, that is exactly when you know it's not Shatner writing any of this. But the idea as well that the cast of this show are now having their little meltdowns because none other than the Jem'Hadar Klingon Gina Yashir, who of course played Lord Tok, has put out a long video, and we're going to take a look at it because you just hear everything that this moron doesn't know and could never understand about Star Trek. Especially how she ends the argument. But let's have a look at the first part she says, because it's very telling for what to expect. So have a listen to this.
What's happening, people? This is Gina Yashere, aka Laura Thok. I assume you've heard the news by now that Starfleet Academy is not going to be coming back for season 3. Obviously, gutted. I thought we made an amazing show. The first season was fantastic. And we just finished shooting season 2. And I can say season 2 is even better. We just kept building on that platform we made. And in my humble opinion, I think it was one of the best first seasons of Star Trek made. But hey, the haters are going to come on here and disagree, but I'm not here to fight with you right now.
Now, you notice how she ended that first part of that statement. All the haters are going to hate, blah, blah. So this is the other thing of you're not allowed at all to dislike something, to disagree with something. You do, you must be a hater, you must be blah, blah, blah. But she says, I'm not here to fight with you now, which means she's not done. She is going to come back onto her Instagram stories and her Twitter accounts and her Blue Skies and all this and probably start going after the fan base. Because, you know, that's a great thing to do. It just shows you their pure ignorance when it comes to all this shit. But it really does show you how bad things are when she's saying, oh, I'm not here to fight with you now. Which means she is going to do it at some stage. But she finished off with her whole conversation by saying, by the way, why can't fucking people speak anymore? And you'll see what I mean even in this second part when she speaks. It's like she tries to say executive producer, and just wait till you hear the way she says it, and it's like, and the way she says hooked. Have a listen to this. It's how she ends this part that is very telling about who this fucker is. Watch this.
I just want to say that it was an absolute honor and a privilege and a pleasure working in the Star Trek universe. I loved every second of playing Laura Thok, and I'm sad that you're not going to get to see more of her story and the story of all the characters as we built them out. The cast, the crew, the costume department, the prosthetics department, the lighting, writers, exec producers, and directors. We had the most amazing team of people bringing this beautiful show to you, and I'm sad for all of them, as well as you guys out there. My overwhelming feeling right now is gratitude. I am grateful for having been part of this whole universe. I had no idea of the Star Trek universe till I got in it, and now I am hooked, I tell you, hooked. And I truly hope and believe that this is not the end of Star Trek. The message of Gene Roddenberry is still so apt and so needed right now, and I hope Star Trek will come back in the future, continuing the same legacy. Obviously, the world is still not ready to hear the message of love, peace, infinite diversity, acceptance, the eschewing of violence and senseless wars. We're not ready to hear that message yet, and hopefully one day we will be, and Star Trek will be back stronger than ever, and preferably with the same message and not completely whitewashed.
Yeah, so she ends her whole thing of peace and love and the world's not ready for her with a racist remark of hopefully this series won't be whitewashed. Yeah, where's your peace and love there, bitch? Seriously, where is it? It seems to be non-existent, eh? So her whole thing is, by the way, she pretty much confirms that Kurtzman is done, because you notice how she says Star Trek is done and hopefully Star Trek will come back. Star Trek is still around. Star Trek will be still around long after you fuckers. What's this thing of hopefully Star Trek can come? That would confirm that they've heard that Kurtzman is finished, that he's out, that Paramount has said adios to them all. Because there's still few shows to come out, that being Strange New Worlds in season 2 of this garbage fest. But isn't it interesting that she worded it of hopefully Star Trek can come back? But this hooked. It was like she's supposed to be trying to speak Klingon here. What is she saying? Took a few times to realise she was saying hooked. It's like, why can't these people speak? You heard of how she says executive producer as well. Exec produce. It's like, what? A what? Yeah, you trying to say executive? It's like listening Candace Owens try to speak. It's like, good Christ. But she also exposed Alex Kurtzman inadvertently in this little video of hers as well. Because you notice she says she never knew Star Trek. She never watched it, but now she's gone back to watch it and she's hooked. Didn't Alex Kurtzman specifically say at the Saturn Awards that he has everybody that works on Star Trek must know and love Star Trek? That's interesting, because now she's the second to third actress we've heard from this brand new series that never watched it. So she says she's never watched it and she never knew what Star Trek was. The one who plays the Betazoid said she never knew or watched Star Trek before. I'm pretty sure Jaden Gaden said he was never actually a fan of Star Trek. He never watched it before. So what is this all of a sudden? Oh, only people who know and love Star Trek work on these shows. No, and none of them ever watched it or ever cared about it. You think they actually give a shit? And her speaking about this infinite diversity. What the fuck is infinite diversity? Is that one of these made up genders? Seriously, like when these clowns come out and say there's 98,000 genders, it's like, name more than 2. And they can't, because there is only 2. Is that what this is? Infinite diversity. And it's the fans who are afraid of infinite diversity and stuff like that. Again, I'd like to point out how much of diversity has always been in Star Trek. The only difference is it was never the focus of Star Trek. That's the thing that they can't get their heads around. They think we put black people in these roles, we're breaking glass seats. No, you're not. You're not doing anything that nobody else hasn't done already. So fuck off at that. But seriously, them trying to say Bill Shatner is so sad and upset and calling out the fans because Starfleet Academy has been cancelled. When you're seeing these morons talking all their crap on their little Facebook posts and shit, and all I can think, and I'm sure half of yous did, when you see these people in this show. I'm sure I'm not the only one that just saw this in their mind.
Bunch of slack-jawed faggots around here.
Yeah, the show was horrible. Nobody watched it. That's why it's haters didn't get it cancelled. YouTubers didn't get it cancelled. The fucking non-existent audience got it cancelled because that's who they made it for. They told us, remember the articles that specifically said, this ain't your parents' Star Trek anymore. Remember that? Well, guess what? It's not that kid's Star Trek either because nobody was invested in this show. Nobody watched this show. Nobody cared about this show. This show getting cancelled, as they would always say, nothing of any importance was lost. So let it die. Let it rot away. Did Bill Shatner really write all that on Twitter? No, he fucking didn't. One of his PR people probably wrote it for him, you know, and they added in all that crap. Again, Bill Shatner. Have you ever even seen Bill Shatner speak? Do you ever think he's ever heard the words DEI? You know, get the fuck out of here with this. And as for Lord Tuck saying, yeah, Star Trek will come back bigger and better than ever, just better not be whitewashed. Yeah, it really exposes who you are, you racist piece of shit. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.